So I'm just going to do a
Right.
quick welcome again. So we're just going to welcome Leo Mullan from Enterprise Causeway. He is going to talk us through the entrepreneur factor. Do you have it? Do you have the skills and qualities it takes to be self-employed, be your own boss? And we're going to find out just what does it take, and it allows you to take this session to test those skills, attributes for yourself. Think about yourself. Think about, yeah, I could do this, or gosh, I could do this, but I kind of would need to upskill in this area or this area. So this is a really good way of checking to see, do you have the that wow entrepreneur factor? So Leo, I'm going to hand over to you and let you take it away.
Okay, good morning, everybody. I'm not getting it. It's not go. Oh, wait a minute. Is this one, Jackie? If I want, I'm trying to get the set. Yeah, we've got it now. Okay. So today's session, we're going to talk about the personal qualities or characteristics of an entrepreneur, perhaps your entrepreneurial strengths or weaknesses, business skills and knowledge needed to run a business, your business skills and knowledge, and how you can maybe do a survey on your skills and knowledge, and how you develop those and improve those business skills and knowledge. And again, why do people enjoy running a business? At this stage, I would say to people, are entrepreneurs born, or can they be developed? If we were in a lecture theatre at the moment, I'd be asking somebody to maybe try and answer that question. Do you think an entrepreneur is born, or can they be developed? Does anybody want to hazard a guess on that one in the chat? If not, we can talk about it at the end, and I'll push on because I do know that we are very tight on time constraints. Matthew, developed. Caitlin, I think they can be developed. Absolutely, I totally agree. It can depend on different circumstances in your life. And I have seen it with so many entrepreneurs and people who have started up business over the last 10 years. Situations in their life change. It might be moving location. It might be changing or losing a job. It could be getting some money, coming up with an idea. Definitely entrepreneurs can be developed, and it just depends on the circumstances in your life. We're looking forward to welcoming a real life entrepreneur today, and Laura, I think that's Jackie put that up, and she will come on after I finish speaking. Laura, I worked with, must be 5-6 years ago now. We had an interesting journey together, and Laura is fantastic, and she'll relate her journey to you. So there are different types of entrepreneurs. There are classic entrepreneurs, and we all know what a classic entrepreneur is. It is somebody who takes risk to make money, to make profits. The classic entrepreneur, the business person, whether it be a very small business or a very large business. Then we have a social entrepreneur. Anybody want to maybe put in the chat what they think a social entrepreneur is? Anybody comment here?
Give me a wee second just to type their answers in,
Okay.
Leo. But that's a very interesting one, and I always, every time we talk about social entrepreneur, I always have to think about that for a wee minute. So I don't see anybody. Any ideas what a social entrepreneur is? Running your own charities.
Yeah, it can be a charity, but it could be a community group or a community organization. Basically, a social entrepreneur is a person or group of people who are doing something to benefit a community. Enterprise Causeway is a social entrepreneur business. Our ethos is to help people set up their own business, and we do lots of different things to help people on their journey to becoming successful, profitable entrepreneurs, but we are social entrepreneurs. There are a lot of regulations around being a social entrepreneur. You cannot just set up and say, I am going to do this. I am a social entrepreneur. I'm not going to go into the regulations now, but anybody that has an idea that they may feel would benefit a community, basically the principle is the profits must go back into helping that community. Now, that doesn't mean that people can't get paid for being a social entrepreneur, but they could not get paid obscene amounts of money. The basic principle is the organization or business is for the benefit of the people or the community. And then we have one other type of entrepreneur, an intrapreneur. Has anyone ever heard of the term intrapreneur, and do they know what that might mean?
Okay, I just put a wee link there for Social Enterprise Northern Ireland onto the thing, just we were talking about social enterprise. So yeah, intrapreneur. Anybody know, or can you guess what an intrapreneur might be? Can I give them a wee hint?
You can.
So if you're not self-employed but you are employed, what do you think an intrapreneur would be if you were working for somebody else? Nothing coming through in the chat just yet. Oh, maybe a manager within the business, somebody who's started the business. Well, somebody who innovates inside of a business.
Well, Jackie, I would class
problems
you as an entrepreneur in that you work for the Ulster University, but you lead a new role. You've come up with new ideas to help students. So an entrepreneur is somebody that works for a business, but really works as hard for that business as if it was their own business, and comes up with ideas to help that business develop or progress to become more profitable or better in everything that they do. So entrepreneurs are people working within organizations, but that come up with new ideas to help those organizations develop. So that's the three types of entrepreneur: classic, social, and intrapreneur.
And can I just say at this point, actually just relating this to a CV, Leo, because this is very interesting. You see that term intrapreneur. If you are somebody who is always coming up with new ideas and solutions and ways of generating new income, or ways of reducing costs maybe, or creating new engagement in your part-time job, in a voluntary setting, you can use that term intrapreneur on your CV. Why not? If it's true, if it's something that you do. So it's a good one to use.
Yes, even as a student within the university, an entrepreneur could be somebody that starts a new social. You could be merging social and entrepreneur, starting a new social club, starting anything. So you don't. An entrepreneur is not necessarily somebody that has loads of money and starting up a big business. It can be within a business, within an organization. It's basically somebody that has the ideas and the foresight to try and push the boundaries or step things up. So that's what an entrepreneur is. Okay, so the profile of an entrepreneur, and basically we split it down into three categories, which would be entrepreneurial characteristics, key personal or transferable skills, and business skills and knowledge. And typically when you have somebody that becomes a successful entrepreneur, social entrepreneur, or intrapreneur, when you dissect their personality and their skills, it will come into these, they will have a huge part of each one of these three categories. And these are, so we're going to go forward and look at each one of those characteristics. So the qualities of an entrepreneur. Now, I have put up on the screen here a list of qualities. These are not exhaustive, and I'm going to ask you to come up with some other characteristics that might be beneficial for an entrepreneur. But basically, an entrepreneur, they need to be creative, because they may be creating new products, new services, or a better way of doing things. You definitely need to be passionate about what you're doing. If you want to lie in your bed till 10 or half 10 or 12 o'clock and not get up and do it, it's not going to work for you. You've got to be passionate. Nobody else is going to have the passion for your idea other than yourself. And then you need to be motivated, because it is difficult. It is difficult. I get people coming into me all the time with ideas, and they have what they think is a great idea, but they're not motivated to carry it out. They think they can come forward with an idea and somebody else will do it for them. That doesn't happen. Nobody's going to create a business for you. You must do it yourself. Then you must be optimistic. There's no point in being pessimistic if you're thinking about starting a business. You must believe that it's a good idea and that it's going to be successful. But that doesn't mean you can't be realistic. So you need to do the research to verify that your idea has got potential, but you must be optimistic that you can do it, you can get the right people and go forward. Future orientated, you need to be looking at what the trends are. If we looked back over the last 2 years with COVID, there's people and businesses have made a fantastic amount of money out of what was basically a worldwide pandemic, creating PPE materials, lots of different things. You've got to be looking at where the trends are, or where things are changing. Social media that wasn't there 10 years ago has totally changed what's happening in the world of business. I recently had, I won't name her, but I had a young lady came to me, and she's a social media influencer, and she's fantastic. She has 500,000 followers on social media, and she was making a very good living out of that. She was an entrepreneur. She was making a very good living out of that, but she decided to push the boundaries, and she has now set up a business creating a new product, because she knows what the people that interact with her want, and she has 500,000 potential clients. It has the business she set up just prior to just late last year. It was a substantial investment, and she's already made all the money back on that investment, but all the hard work had went in before in her previous career as a social influencer. So you need to be persuasive if you're going to be an entrepreneur, because you're going to need customers, or you're going to need to sell to people. You need to be able to explain your idea. Even if you're hiring people, you need to be able to explain to staff what you want to do, where you want to go. You need to be flexible, because it's not a straight line. Being an entrepreneur is, I don't know if you can see me, but it goes up and it goes down and it goes everywhere. And it's a bit like swimming across a river with sharks in it. There's lots of sharks in there ready to eat you. You've got to be flexible. You've got to change direction, and you've got to know what's happening, which follows you must be resourceful, because you will face challenges that you didn't think you would face, whether it be funding challenges, regulatory challenges, or design challenges, or it could be obtaining property, or it could be technical challenges, but you need to be resourceful. You need to be adventurous too. It's very difficult to come up with a completely new idea, but you can certainly take a well-tested idea and become better at it. And that's it, being adventurous, push the boundaries. And you need to be decisive. You need to be able to make decisions. Nobody else is going to make those decisions for you. So I'm going to look at what the chat was saying. Now, I'm not seeing the chat, Jackie.
So, well, basically, remember you'd asked about different qualities. So we have things like Katie says determination, And I'd asked, which of the qualities do you think is the most important to be a successful entrepreneur? So we've lots of different answers. We've got determination, motivated, being a risk taker, being disciplined. I don't think discipline's on the list, so that's a new one. Confidence. Confidence isn't on the list, so that's a new one. Subham says observant. And I think that comes back to your thing about watching what's happening in the external environment around you. And Rebecca says vision.
Yeah, well, somebody asked what did I think was the most important one. If you were asking me to condense it all into one, and it would be very difficult, but what I would say, and likability, which is
Ooh.
not up there. You need to have that likability factor. Nobody's going to do business or want to work with somebody that they don't like. So you need all these other characteristics, but basically you need that likability factor. You need to work on that. You need to work on massaging other people's egos, really, in a way, to have that likability factor. So that's important, perhaps,
Well, it
Jackie.
would be, yeah, so I would call that connection. You need to be
Yes.
able to connect with the customer. And I know from working in the bank from 20 odd years when I was doing sales, you know, it was that factor. It was, you know, I remember a district manager ringing me one time and said, Jackie, how have you turned, I went into a new branch, you were struggling with sales, and I'd brought them up from being bottom of the heap in Northern Ireland to well, they were, sorry, 14th in Northern Ireland, and they brought them up to #1, and in 1 year. And he said, how did you do that? What line did you use? And I just didn't use any line. I just got to know my customers. They got to know me. They trusted me, and they knew I wasn't going to flog them something that wasn't going to be useful to them. So, and they like me, and I like them. So
Well, that's a good lead
that's that
into
thing.
our next slide, Jackie,
Oh,
which
brilliant.
is
Okay.
key personal skills.
Okay.
So these are personal skills. You need to be able to plan. You need to be organized. You need to be able to solve problems. You need to be able to make decisions, and what Jackie was saying, you need to communicate. So that's perhaps the likability factor. You need to communicate your idea. I had, it'll come up on another slide, I had a young man come in to me with a business idea, and he started to talk to me about it, and I couldn't understand what he was telling me he wanted to be. And I had to say to him, look, would you go away and have a think about what, because if you can't explain to me what you want to be and you want me to help you start your business, how are you going to explain it to any customers? And he did that, and he came back, and he just recently was named as one of the top 30 under 30 entrepreneurs in Northern Ireland, and he's doing fantastic. But he learned how to communicate what he was doing. And I'll show you a link to his business in a couple of slides, and you can have a wee look at it yourself. So you need to be good at research, and you need to research your market. You know, there needs to be evidence that your market, that you can find a business that is going to be profitable in that market. You need to find out what the people want, what the regulations are, what technology you need, and what's going to happen in the future. You need to network with people, because you will be networking with your customers. You need to have good customer services. You may be networking with accountants. You may be networking with regulatory bodies, with councils. So you need to learn how to network with people. You need to be a good team worker. And a lot of businesses set up, and it's just one person set it up, and they think, oh, it's only me. But it's not only you. You've got lots of people that you reach out to, and they're your team. It may be your financial advisors, your mentors. It could, but you're never just one person in business. You're always touching lots of other people. You need to manage your time. You need to prioritize, because there's only a certain amount of time in a day or a week that you can work, and you've got to be able to prioritize what tasks need to be done to make the business successful. And that may be about keeping diaries, but You've got to be good at that. You cannot just sit about and think it's going to happen. You've got to make it happen. You've got leadership, because as your business grows, you will undoubtedly take more staff on, and you need to lead those staff. You need to have those leadership qualities. So those are the key personal skills. Anybody want to comment anything on personal skills or anything that they think would be important as a personal skill?
As I said before, feel free to share your ideas in the chat, or anybody who's really brave, you can put your hand up and you can speak.
I would add at this stage, the fact that you're logged on to this session or for this week about entrepreneurial skills or starting a business, I would suspect that you have maybe an embryonic idea or a desire that you would like to start a business. You maybe have an itch that you want to scratch in terms of business. There's something actually making you probably slightly different in that you're interested in the mechanics of business or becoming an entrepreneur. So perhaps a lot of these things are within you already, and you just need to realize that you have all the attributes to go forward with an idea. And
That's a
the
good,
next thing,
I was going to say, Michelle put her hand up there. So Michelle, do you want to say what you think?
Sorry, I was just typing at the same time. But yeah, no, I'm finding I'm having to constantly alter my time management. You know, the priorities are shifting more this year than what they were last year with uni and deadlines, assignments and things, and also personal life. So I am noticing this year I'm having to juggle a good bit more, and I am very disciplined with my time, and that's a challenge, you know. So no, I can, yeah, for me it's just constantly altering.
And I should say that Michelle's one of our enterprise placement year
all right.
students.
Well,
So,
Michelle, that's great, because the only constant in business is change. So you're learning already.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's fantastic.
thanks, Michelle.
Okay, so go to the next slide. Now, these are just a couple of businesses. You will get copies of this presentation. I'm not going to link into these now because we don't have time. I'll just give you a brief synopsis of what these businesses were. And the reason I picked these are there were two completely different businesses. The first one was called Wickerties, and he was a student at Ulster University, and he had an idea that he wanted to go into business, but he wasn't sure what he wanted to do. And we got chatting about it, and he set up a t-shirt design business. He set up with £200 and a second-hand vinyl printer, and within 6 months he became the biggest seller of t-shirts on eBay. Now that's the link to his Facebook page, but Mark, I think, has taken a break from it at the moment because he's a musician as well, and he enjoys organizing events, and I think he's doing event management for a big events company. So he's doing that. So he is sort of taken a back seat after about 3-4 years of the t-shirts, but he made an absolute fortune. He had wonderful ideas, and you can probably still look them up on his website just under Wickerties. But he, you know, in any business you need a little bit of luck, and Mark's luck came when your ex-chancellor at the university, James Nesbitt, went to a Carl Frampton boxing match in Los Angeles, and he was interviewed after the fight, and I think he had taken a little bit too much libation, and you couldn't quite understand what he was saying. And Mark saw this, and he made a t-shirt with James Nesbitt's face on it, and sort of a speech bubble and gobbledygook coming out of it. And we managed to get the t-shirt to James Nesbitt, who absolutely loved it and wanted it. So Mark made him it, he wore it. Carl Frampton wanted the t-shirt. The next thing, the Northern Ireland football team wanted him to make t-shirts. The Ulster rugby team wanted him to make t-shirts. When Northern Ireland went to the Euros. I'm not quite sure what year it was. I think Mark made more out of the Euros than the Northern Ireland football team did, because he came up with lots of different takes, and you'll see them on his website. But a basic, simple idea. There was no shortage of T-shirts for sale anywhere. Mark started a business. He just pushed the boundaries, came up with new ideas and a new way to do it, and became terribly successful. I remember after his first year in business, he came to me and I said, well, what mistakes did you make? And he said, the biggest mistake I made was not making my wife a partner at the start, because I'm having to pay too much tax now. So smallest ideas can become fantastic. The next business was started by the young man I was speaking to you about previously, Mark, we call him, and he hadn't went to university. He was at the regional college, but he desperately wanted to start his own business or work in business, and he went to work, got a position, as he thought, as a salesman for a cable jointing company. But they saw something in Mark that made them realize that he was more than just a potential salesman, and they moved him into sort of being a trainee project manager on the work that were done. Now, Mark wasn't with the company for more than 6 months when it went bankrupt, but having the entrepreneurial spirit, Mark actually had taken a note of all the clients. There was no, and Mark contacted them all, and he was just on his own. And he said, look, any job you want done, I can do it. My company can do it. He set up a website and he set up a company. He had nobody but himself. And I said, how are you going to do this work? He says, I'll get men to do it. Mark has set up power stations on the Isle of Wight. He's worked at Great Ormond Street Hospital. He has worked all over Europe. He's just recently acquired a contract for electric vehicle points throughout Ireland for a franchise. Mark is 25. And I said to Mark, how do you do these jobs? He says, take the job and then figure out how you're going to do it. Now, I'm not sure if that's a strategy that Alan Sugar would like, but he's pushing the boundaries, and Mark is absolutely fantastic. You can look up his website. He has, when you go to his website, he has it says his office is in Covent Garden in London. Well, he has an address in Covent Garden in London, but basically his office is in Coleraine. He's an Invest NI client. He is now employing quite a few people, all from Coleraine. And honestly, he's just so inspirational. And when we do courses here, I would bring Mark on to talk sometimes as well. So that's talking about a couple of people who have started off two completely different businesses, but they had Mark. Ironically, they're both called Mark. I didn't realize that before. Maybe that's a sign you have to be called Mark to be an entrepreneur. But two totally different businesses. They had no association with that type of business prior to that, but they went for it. They believed in themselves, and they used all those characteristics.
That's that risk taking that somebody was talking about before. So
yep.
I was going to say we need to keep moving, because Laura has joined us, and
okay. Inspiring entrepreneurs who previously failed. Walt Disney was fired by a newspaper because he lacked imagination and had no good ideas. There you go. Oprah Winfrey was fired from her job as a television reporter because she was unfit for TV. Well, she's now the biggest paid star on TV. And Henry Ford was bankrupt 5 times before he founded the Ford Motor Company. So you don't give up, you keep going. Business skills and knowledge. This is 5 areas of business skill that you need to look at if you're going to start a business or going to be an entrepreneur. You've got product development, which is the technical side. I'm not going to read everything because you can look at these. You've got the marketing side of the business. You've got the operations and the legal side of whatever you want to do. Then you may be managing people, and then there's the financial side. Now, when you look at these spreadsheets or this presentation afterwards, look at those, because you will do every one of those things basically to start with. You may hire in help as you get a little bit of money, but you will probably end up, you need to know about all those areas of business. So how do you assess your own business skills and knowledge? How do you figure out what you're good at? Are you any good at product development? Are you any good at marketing? Are you good at finance? Are you good at managing people? Are you good at operations and legal issues? You don't have to be an expert in all those areas, but you need to be aware that they will be an important factor as you move forward. And you can do business audits and you on yourself to find out how good you are at those. You can also get support. You get business support through organizations like ourselves, Enterprise Causeway. You get courses, training courses, funded workshops, colleges, advisors, mentors, existing businesses, accountants, solicitors, people you know in business. There's lots of ways of getting help to see how you can move forward. I'm constantly moving forward fast, Jackie, here. Okay. So
That's okay, because we'll share the
um,
PowerPoint, and then I'll put some links in the chat here for
okay.
some of those things that you were talking about, support agencies.
Yeah. So what do people enjoy about running a business? And again, I've put it right bang in the middle. Profit, money. Look, we go into business to make money. You have to be honest, unless you're going to be the social entrepreneur, and social entrepreneurs want to make it for the community, or the entrepreneurs want to make it for their business. But it's about profit. It's about making money. Nobody starts a business to lose money. People will say, there's other things like work-life balance. I start my own business for work-life balance. Good luck with that one. You'll be the hardest boss you ever had. You'll work far harder for yourself than you would ever work for anybody else. But you are God in your own kingdom. You're right even when you're wrong, and you get the opportunity to make your own decisions. Being your own boss is simply the best job in the world. It really, really is. So if you've got an idea or think you want to progress as a business person or start a business, the rewards are great. You can make an awful lot of money, but it's just absolutely fantastic to not have to answer to people or be judged. The only way you're going to be judged is on the profits you make. Starting a business, the upside of the business, and here we are, being your own boss. You can do something you enjoy. You can make money from a hobby. Flexible working, well, you can, but you're still going to have to do it all. Better work-life balance, financial reward, or building confidence. There's nothing nicer than when somebody asks you what you do than saying, I run my own business. It doesn't matter whether you're a gardener or a web designer or a clothes designer or an engineer. Running your own business is absolutely fantastic. And then we have, but there is a downside. There's a risk. You're going to risk your money. You might invest money in it. There's a risk. You might give up your job to start something. There's a lot of stress. It can be a very lonely place if you're working on your own. That's why you need to keep good contacts with other people, with mentors, advisors, and organizations. You may work long hours. It can have a big effect on family and personal life. And that's where somebody said earlier on, not sure who it was, about being organized with their time. You need to prioritize and you need to make time. It's becoming very important to look after yourself in business, your own personal health and mental well-being, because if you're not well, your business won't survive. And there's also the risk that you won't have a regular income. You might be in a business that has very seasonal fluctuations. So all those, and there's loads more. So I was trying to look at the time, and I told Laura that she would be on at 11:55. Jackie, so we're 11:56. Laura McElveen is going to join us now. The first time Laura came in to see me, she wouldn't have said boo to a goose, and now she is just fantastic, and she's always my go-to presenter for anything people thinking about starting business. So Laura.
Hi everyone, can you all hear me?
We can certainly hear you, Laura. We can't see you. Oh, there, we can see you now. I was going to say, maybe just stop sharing the screen so we can see you. There we go. There she is. And larger than life as usual. Laura, we'll hand over to you and Liam.
Perfect. So my name is Laura McElveen and I work as a professional photographer. That's what my business is in. And really in my business, I specialise in kind of two areas. So firstly, within landscape photography, that was where my business idea kind of first started. So I can often be found running about the North Coast, chasing sunsets, chasing weather. I've become much more of a kind of weather watcher than I ever thought I would. I love how light plays the landscape, and I love capturing kind of the world around us and sharing it with other people. That's a part of the joy as well. So basically I go out, I take photos, I then sell prints of those photographs. So that could be in loads of different ways. It could be loads of different types of formats. It could be small gift prints. It could be people that are on their holidays, they want to purchase something to take home with them. Or it could be large statement pieces that really take up a room, and that's the first thing people see when they walk into that space. In terms of where I sell, the biggest place I probably sell, where I'm actually at today, I'm in an office in work at the minute. So I sell in a shop called The Designery in Bushmills. So I have a space upstairs alongside other creatives, including the graduates and residents actually. And we all work together. We're all creative people, and I run my business from here in store. So if you're ever in Bushmills, pop in to see me, share your ideas with me, and say hello. I also sell my stuff online, and also at lots of high quality local artisan markets as well. So the other area I specialise in then is commercial photography, and that's just anything that's photographs for businesses. So that's a relatively new kind of part of my business really. So that could be doing headshots for the entrepreneur, it could be doing product photography, anything that promotes a business's product or service online and makes them look great. So that's kind of summary of what my business is kind of like at the minute and what I'm getting up to. In terms of where my business kind of first started, or where my big idea kind of came from, it was very simple. I wanted to take my hobby, which was photography, and turn it into a business. I wanted a completely different sort of life. I wanted to wake up in the morning passionate and excited and enthused about going to work that day. And that was kind of my idea. I wanted to be self-employed. I wanted to be my own boss. As Leo said earlier, I wanted to make the rules. I wanted to choose my working hours, my holidays, and I just wanted to do something that I love. I think life is too short to be in jobs that you don't enjoy. And I just thought, let's go for this. The only problem in all of this big idea was I knew about the photography side of things, but I knew nothing about business, like nothing. I hadn't studied it. I didn't have lots of family or anything in business. And that's where I actually ended up meeting Leo, because I went in with my idea that, you know, I want to be a professional photographer. And I met with Leo, and he put me in a program called Exploring Enterprise, which is a wee bit like what you're doing today, where you look at some of the qualities of an entrepreneur and things like that. And I remember when I joined that program, I had no idea. Am I an entrepreneur? Am I not an entrepreneur? You know, what is an entrepreneur and what does that mean? And I remember leaving the program knowing 100% I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm going to do everything in my power to make my dream a reality. And that's how I really left that program, was feeling really enthused. And I remember, just like what you have done today, actually, we went through that list of qualities of an entrepreneur. And I remember when Leo was going through that list, kind of going through them and kind of mentally ticking off, oh yeah, I'm that thing, check, that thing, you know. So I'm passionate, I'm creative, I'm highly motivated, I'm energetic, and I'm extremely driven. Some people would say thran. I say I'm extremely driven and determined. I'm so determined. I set myself a goal, and I'm not quitting until that goal is achieved, is my kind of attitude. And I think that's why I've managed to succeed in business. There's nothing quite like being self-employed and working on something that you really love and are really passionate about. On the other side, there was also some of those sort of skills I looked at and I thought, do you know what? I don't have those things yet. I need to improve in those things. And that's what I would say to you today. If you're looking at those lists thinking, oh, you know, I don't have all of those things, I would say that's okay, because there's so much you can do to help improve some of the things that you maybe think, do you know what, that's a weakness of mine. Like for me, as Leo said, I had to really work on my confidence. When Leo first met me, I was a completely different person than who I am now. I think Leo would agree with that. I was very shy, quiet. Leo was thinking, where's these things now? You know, whereas now I am so much more confident, and my business has really helped me to get that confidence and get that self-esteem. And I've really been on a journey. So I always say to people starting out, I would always say to people, list the things that you think, do you know what, I'm really good at this. These things are my strengths. And do you know what, on the other side, these are things that are my weaknesses, that these are things that I need to work on, and establish a way to work on that. So Leo had a slide up earlier saying about mentorship, and that's been a really important part of my business, being surrounded by other business people to give me advice and to help me upskill in areas. And as well as that, for some of things, I know I'm not good at admin, okay? I don't like it. I'm just going to be honest. It's a weakness. I struggle to sit still and do it. I want to be out exploring the North Coast and capturing photos and doing all of that creative stuff. But finance and accounting and all of those things are so incredibly important. So in my business, it was about going, okay, what's the easiest way that I can do this that works for me? So I decided to get some software to help me. So sometimes it's about realizing, do you know what, maybe this thing's a weakness of mine, but I can either outsource that thing, or I can upskill, or I can do something to solve that problem in my business. So anyway, I left the program and I started my business. And do you know what, I'm really proud to say my business started in a very, very tiny scale. Because I was starting my business, I had very, very limited funds. I didn't have a big business grant or anything to start off. It was literally the money that I had, and at the time I was unemployed. So I remember going out, my first kind of day of test trading was literally selling out of the back of my car boot in a field in Ballantoy, like in a car boot sale. And I had bought this pop-up table, and I was so proud of it. I still have this pop-up table, so it was a great investment. I still use it all the time at markets. Bought this pop-up table, and I had invested all of the money I had in stock and in a couple of wee stands and boxes to put my work in. Do you know what? I didn't really know what I was doing that day. I'm going to be honest and say I didn't. I have had to go on a big kind of learning experience. So I remember one of the mistakes I made, I had my market stall all set out, and my lovely photography, which is really high quality photo paper and photo mounts and the best of the best. And on the top of my prints, I had this great big fluorescent 2 for £1 type price label that was absolutely shocking. That was the first thing someone's seen, and really screamed not high quality. It sort of screamed, this is a bit of a bargain, which is not what my work is about. But as I said, I know that. I didn't even see that at that point. To me, it was a functional price label, and it would do. And it was the wrong way to present my work. So I've learned so much about presenting and merchandising, and I've learned that along the way. So if you're sitting today thinking, I don't know about any of that stuff, that's okay. Neither did I. And I've done okay so far, you know. So anyway, I started out, and I have to be honest, at the start, it was tough. As Leo said earlier, you know, self-employment isn't always easy. And if you're starting out in something like a business like mine that's sort of art-based, it can sometimes take you a while to get your name out there, get your brand out there, get people knowing you. I'm obviously in a very highly competitive market. There's loads of photographers to choose from. So it was about perseverance, I would say, is one of the things that I think is just so incredibly important in a business, is you keep going and you keep trying. And if something's not working, how can I change it up? Don't stay static and go, this is all that I do. I'm trying this, and if this doesn't work, oh, forget about it. I'm always trying new things and just working with things to try and make sure that everything works out in the end, you know. It doesn't go smoothly. It was that example, actually. I always remember that from Leo's course about, you know, sometimes you think you start a business and the only way is up. You know, I'll go to this market and I'll be there with my stuff and I'll sell and I'll be rich by tomorrow. And in reality, it's a journey, and there's ups and downs and hurdles to get over and things to work with. But it's a very, very exciting journey. So slowly but surely, I built up my business to what it is today. It's all, for me, it was small steps. So it was like I'd started getting into really high quality artisan markets. Then I got to sell downstairs, actually, in the shop. And then I got a chance to come upstairs and have my own retail space. And my sales just started to grow and grow and grow. My name got out there. I started to get more work, and I could feel my business growing, and it was so exciting. And then the pandemic hit. And all of a sudden, everything had changed. My shop had closed. My market stall, obviously the markets weren't running. Photo shoots had stopped. And me, as a person who had relied very much on face-to-face sales, all of a sudden, that was it. That was it. There was nothing. And in those moments, you can go, whoa, I don't know what to do. Which initially, that was my thought, was, whoa, what do I do? And then it's like, okay, let's work with this. What do I need to do to keep my business going? What are the steps I need to take? And I took the step that I needed to take, which I invested in a really high quality e-commerce website so I could continue my business. And I remember there's these moments as an entrepreneur, right? And it's such a buzz, and it keeps you coming back for more. There are moments that you work really hard and you try something new, and you know it's a risk and it pays off. And when that happens, you just want to keep going and going to the next thing. And one of my things was, during the pandemic, I launched my website, and it was during the first lockdown. And I remember thinking, oh, there's loads of photographers online. I wonder how this will go. I didn't expect any sales. I launched the website, and within 2 minutes, there was my first sale. And on my phone, the website I use, when you make a sale, there's an audible ka-ching. There's literally money coming to your phone. I remember within 2 minutes, first ka-ching on my phone. Then another, I think 2 or 3 minutes after that, another, and another, and another, and another. And this kind of risk of investing in my website paid off. And those are the moments that I think are so exciting as an entrepreneur. So my thing always is, kind of my business mantra from day one has been, our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always try one more time. So no matter what's thrown at me, I'm going to try. I'm going to try and change things up. I'm not going to remain static. I'm going to try new ways of selling. I'm going to make new products and do that sort of thing. So that's me basically finished up. I'm going to give you a chance to ask some questions. I can see there's been a couple of questions coming in, so sure, I'll let Jackie ask me a couple of ones. The only thing I'd end with is, if you have a business idea, go for it, because it is so exciting. As Leo says, it's hard work. There are sleepless nights. There's all of that, but it's totally worth it.
Thank you so much, Laura. Oh my goodness, I'm like, you're amazing, and your energy and your enthusiasm is just infectious. So and your story, I just love listening to your story every time. But yeah, we do have a couple of questions. So Rebecca wants to know, first of all, now we only have about 5 minutes left, so I'm going to get you to talk really fast. So what was the hardest thing about starting your business?
Probably at the start, I was very confused about pricing. It's one of the things probably that a lot of people in my kind of area, whether you're selling art and stuff that you make, you can be quite self-conscious about how to actually change that from a hobby to a business. And to get that confidence to ask the right price for something can be really tough. And I definitely needed assistance with that. And aside from things, as I said, I started my business with a tiny pot of money. I'm literally talking like 80 quid. And so I had to sell the products that I had first done before I could invest more money. So my business was always going to be a slower grower than someone who, for instance, has a big, massive pot of money and has lots of investment. But I was okay with that. And to be honest, it worked because it gave me an opportunity to grow with it and grow in confidence and change things up as I went. But that was a challenge.
I'd agree with you. I think from our EPY students who are running their own creative agents businesses, pricing, and you know this from Lauren and some of the girls that are in there, pricing is a big problem, and I think it's a confidence thing as well. But we will be dealing, I think we'll be dealing a wee bit with pricing in a couple of other sessions today. So if that's something, guys that are listening, that you're worrying about or thinking about, then do come to the other sessions. Another question was, did you always know you wanted to be your own boss or run your own business?
No, I didn't. I always had an interest in business from quite a young age. Like when me and my brother were doing the kind of, tiny kids, we would kind of have this thing where we would be like running businesses. That was our like playtime. I remember us. There's a great photo of me running a business called McIlvaine Motors. Well, hey, it was a car showroom. I'm about 6 or something. So I always had an interest in business, but I didn't really know I was going to start my own business because I didn't think that I had the skills. I didn't know where to start. But then I've learned over time, and I've got assistance with that.
Good. And last question before we wrap up is, what do you think is the most important entrepreneurial characteristic?
The most important thing in my business, 100%, has been determination. I think there have been times where personal circumstances and whatever else and the odds have maybe been against me, where it's like, no, I'm going to keep going. I don't care. I'm going to keep going. And it's that mentality that I have, I think, of no matter what happens and no matter what hurdle there is, my mindset is always, how do I get over that hurdle? Instead of letting it stop me, it's like, right, okay, what can I do? Is it maybe getting assistance from someone? Is it getting the mentorship? What is it? But for me, the most important thing in a business, I would say, is determination to keep going and keep trying.
No, I absolutely agree with you, and you can see how you are determined, and I say that in a very nice way. So in case anybody's watching, Laura and I do actually know each other. I'm not just slagging her off for, like, being rude to our guests. So, but she is but she's very enthusiastic, and I met her mum the other day, and we had the ta-da moment, and I just was like, yeah, I know who she got that from. So, but no, I think, listen, everything that you have said has just, I hope, guys, I would love you to put in the chat there if you've enjoyed listening to Laura, if it has inspired you or motivated you or encouraged you in some way to take that wee next step to finding out more about being self-employed for yourself. We would love you to give us a thumbs up or something if that has helped you. Laura, thank you so much. I'm going to hand back to Leo here just to wrap up. And guys, just before we're going to close up in about a minute. But what I would like you to really do, please, is to do the poll that I'm just putting into the chat there. Please just do that wee Menti poll for us. That would be amazing. And brilliant comments there, everybody. Great, encouraging, great talk, getting very inspiring. Hi, Sandra. Yeah, and good for Katie because she's looking to get into art-based business. So thank you so much, Laura. Leo, do you want to say anything to close off?
Okay, well, I could sit here and give you anecdotal stories all afternoon about entrepreneurs like Laura, who I have been very fortunate to work with over the last 10 years. As I say, Laura is my go-to first presenter. Her enthusiasm is so infectious. Look, it can be any one of you if you want to do it, but I would say one thing, and I'll say it in the session this afternoon. You need, if you have a business idea, you need to find a gap in the market, but more importantly, you need to find a market in the gap.
Ooh,
So,
that's good. That's a good one to end on. That's
okay,
really, say
thank
that,
you,
say that
everybody.
again. Just say that again one more time.
You need to find a gap in the market. There's a gap for that business, but you need to be sure that there's a market in the gap. And again, I could relate anecdotal stories of people who thought they have found a gap in the market, but in reality, Dragon's Den would say you're overthinking the problem. There's not a market in the gap.
Ooh, very nice. Okay, well listen, thank you so much, Leo and Laura, for taking the time out today to share your training, your advice, your mentorship, your guidance on all things entrepreneurial. Really appreciate it. I think it was a fantastic session. I know it's pinged things in my head. Guys, I hope you all really enjoyed it. If you'd like to say your thanks in the chat, and hopefully I've just put in, just remember to join the other sessions today, which basically takes you from the entrepreneur factor. The next session is about more practical things, about how do I turn this idea into a commercial business to make me money. So that's the next session at 1:45. And then the last session today is the ABCs of business plan. So what do I actually need to make, to actually formulate a business plan to apply for funding and finance, business loans and things like that. So that's going to happen later today. But the next session today is now in 10 minutes at 12:30. We've got lunch and learn with the entrepreneurs. So that is Andrew Trimble. If anybody follows rugby, you know who Trimble is. He's now a tech entrepreneur. We've got Amy Oliver, who runs Body Fit Mums. We've got Sean Dobbs, who's a multi-patented engineer. And we've got the amazing Ellen Yates, who's a very young entrepreneur in the family business of Taylor Yates, where Laura works actually, who make leather handbags and are doing phenomenally well. And they're all into sustainability and local produce and things like that. So guys, thank you. We're going to end it there, and I hope to see you at some of the other sessions. And any questions on anything entrepreneurial, feel free to come through me, Jackie Smith, j.smith@ulster.ac.uk, and I'd be happy to pass those questions on to Leo for the next sessions. All right, thank you so much, and we'll see you later. Bye.
See you later.